Let's move to the other side of Africa, where there was an alternative model of civilizational development. The eastern coast of Africa saw the rise of what historians call Swahili civilization, which was not an empire or a kingdom, but a collection of city-states like Zanzibar and Mombasa and Mogadishu, all of which formed a network of trade ports. There was no central authority. Each of these cities was autonomously ruled, usually, although not always, by a king. But there were three things that linked the city-states such that we consider them a common culture: language, trade, and religion. The Swahili language is part of a language group called Bantu, and its original speakers were from West Africa. Their migration to East Africa changed not only the linguistic traditions of Africa, but everything else, because they brought with them ironwork and agriculture. Until then, most of the people living in the East had been hunter-gatherers or herders, but once introduced, agriculture took hold, as it almost always does, unless, wait for it, you're the Mongols. Modern-day Swahili, by the way, is still a Bantu-based language, although it's been heavily influenced by Arabic. On that topic, for a long time, historians believed that these East African cities were all started by Arab or Persian traders, which was basically just racist. They didn't believe that Africans were sophisticated enough to found these great cities. Now scholars recognize that all the major Swahili cities were founded well before Islam arrived in the region, and that in fact trade had been going on since the 1st century CE. But Swahili civilization didn't begin its rapid development until the 8th century, when Arab traders arrived seeking goods that they could trade on the vast Indian Ocean network, the Silk Road of the Sea. And of course, those merchants brought Islam with them, which, just like in West Africa, was adopted by the elites who wanted religious as well as commercial connections to the rest of the Mediterranean world. In many of the Swahili states, these Muslim communities started out quite small, but at their height between the 13th and 16th century, most of the cities boasted large mosques. The one in Kilwa even impressed Ibn Battuta, who of course visited the city because he was having the best life ever. Most of the goods exported were raw materials like ivory and animal hides and timber. It's worth noting, by the way, that when you're moving trees around, you have a level of sophistication to your trade that goes way beyond the Silk Road. I mean, if you'll recall, they were just trading like tortoise shells and stuff. Not again! Africans also exported slaves along the East Coast, although not in huge numbers, and they exported gold, and they imported luxury goods like porcelain and books. In fact, archaeological digs in Kilwa have revealed that houses often featured a kind of built-in bookshelf. Learning of books through architecture nicely captures the magic of studying history. Archaeology, writing, and oral tradition all intermingle to give us glimpses of the past. And each of those lenses may